There was a Jaws. What Steven Spielberg was covering up for. What Steven Spielberg was covering up for was a lot of things that were going on back in the 70s and stuff like that out in the world. Basically, there was an old shark that was mechanical. I believe possibly it might have used titanium wires, and also might have there were three sharks basically. One of them used gears to make the shark move, and I believe it might have been gold or silver plated sharks. One was gold, one was silver, and one was something else like an iron or steel or titanium, I think. There were three sharks basically. One was gold, one was silver, one was titanium, I believe, or something like that. Different elements of metal, but basically they stood on a stand, and there was a box that would, with the spring, you would wind it up. Ding, you'd wind it up, and basically the tail would move, and the shark head would move a little bit, and the mouth would open and close every now and then. And it was some sort of ridiculous, like this lost art inventor, they spent, I think, like 5 years making these things, or like 25 years or 50 years. Like one person dedicated, or a team of people dedicated a long time to it. But basically, then there's plans for them basically. But what you don't know is that they're silver and gold and titanium. But basically, there's a box with a giant spring at the bottom. With a really, it's like a titanium spring or some sort of really 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 ridiculous unheard of metal spring, and basically you put a key in, and you would wind it up, and then you'd press a button, or no, you turn a key. That's right. It was the spring took too much power. It took two guys to wind it up, and they actually have pictures of them winding up one of them. But basically, and then you take the key. I think that's right. And then you take the key, and you put it in, and then you turn the thing, and the spring would go boing, and it would release all the energy in the spring, or start to release the spring. And I forget what it would do, if it would wind up a thingy, or if it would. But basically, it would start to work, and the shark would start to swim. And it was made of solid silver, not solid, not pure silver, but I mean a metallurgy of silver, and there was a gold one, and there was a titanium one. Anyway. They were melted down. They went down like brown. Like all these artifacts were like bloop, 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 bloop. Brown and Nixon and JFK and everyone, they wanted to remove everything that was me. Anyway, this thing had been in existence for over 500 years or something like that. It was a really ancient. It was sitting inside a warehouse somewhere, all dusty. Like I think they talk about it. They were taken to a warehouse, and they walked in, and there was this draped object, and they pulled the drape off, and there's so much dust on it that they can't really see. But then they start pressing their hand against the side, and basically they realize it's solid gold or silver, and there's three of them, basically, all mechanical. Anyway. The original Jaws movie, or the original Jaws, or basically back in the day, earned quite a bit of money, and I spent it on basically making a shark that was mechanical and all that other stuff just after the fact. You know, along with the DeLorean and a couple other things, I had quite a bit of money, and I spent it on and quite a few people, and quite a few people were working on this little mechanical shark just for fun. And they built this in the honor of the great one, of the LS, Lucifer Star, the great one, of 800 galaxies and everything else. They built these sharks. Anyway, of course, Nixon and Jimmy Carter and a lot of other people didn't want there to be any record or anything about left over from me. Because, like I say, they would hire women to come to work, and a happy female would show up for work, and she would find herself in a building with like 150 men or 30 men or something like that. She'd be taken to the top floor, and then she'd be surrounded by men, and then they would rip her clothes off and basically rape her until they'd just rape her, basically, constantly. Anyway, I found out about it, and of course I started stopping it. I would not accept that in my LS shipyard or my LC shipyard or any other place. I found it disturbing and upsetting. So Anyway, so like I say, Harlem and Wolf and Mr. Brown, they started wanting to take down everything that was me because I was stopping them from having their way with women and everything else. So anyway, so that's why a lot of it was melted down and destroyed.